Good evening, everyone. I am C.H. Rikiran Ramesh Sakam, Chairman of Solapur Branch, moderator of this webinar. We are delighted to welcome you all in the webinar being organized by the Continuing Professional Education Committee of ICI. It is my pleasure to be a moderator for the webinar on digital audit trail and improving the quality of tax audits. In a short while, we'll start this webinar. First, I would like to apprise you about CPE committee. The role of chartered accountant is evolving continuously to accept newer responsibility in dynamic global environment. The future of CA profession depends on being flexible and open to innovation. Therefore, the need of the hour is to innovate as per the requisites of the contemporary business environment and accordingly update the curriculum and education system of chartered accountancy course. The committee also believes that the members of ICI should look beyond the traditional areas of practice and seek and explore new areas of business and profession. And hence, the CP committee is mentoring the members by providing guidance through various workshops, seminars, national conferences, background materials, etc. And simultaneously by encouraging young and dynamic professionals to grow as speaker, master of ceremonies, etc. in CPA program. The program for the evening is as follows. We have two sessions of 1 hour each, and topics are digital audit trail, care CA need to be taken, and how to benefit from it. And second is improving the quality of tax audits. Our eminent speaker will take about above mentioned two emerging areas of professional interest. Now, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce Chairman of CP Committee CA Purushottam Khandelwal sir. He is chairman of CPC and convener of RBI Directorate of ICA. He is having 25 years post-qualification experience in the field of audit, direct and indirect tax, and intellectual property rights. This year, he is devoted to fortifying CP framework and guaranteeing quality across its entire operational spectrum. And this year, major focus will be on upgrading of CPA portal for enhancement of the branding and professional competency of members. Now, I will request CA Purushottam Khandelwal sir, chairman of CP and convener of RBI Director, to welcome the our speaker and welcome to address this webinar as welcome speech.
Good afternoon, respected faculty for the first technical session. Dhananjay Gokhleji, who is from the city of Nagpur, Orange City. Another faculty from headquarters, Sana Madam, chairman of the Solapur branch and moderator of these programs, Srikantji Sangam. Respected members, I am extremely happy to amongst you on the Wednesday because we have decided every Wednesday my committee will organize a webinar on the professional topic. As you know, CPE committee is a mother of all the committee. My committee is dedicated to update the knowledge of members because what we are selling our services. So if we are not updated, our knowledge may be irrelevant. So learning, de-learning, and relearning, this is the ongoing process. Previously, we had learned the Companies Act. Now it is not 56. Now it is not relevant. All section has been changed. So it's a constant process. You have to learn, and only learn. This year, my committee has decided to change a technical part. Today, secretary of my committee, Ajit Nathji, in the meeting going at headquarters, where we are planning to make a one dashboard where all the 175 branch will list their programs on single window. Not only 175 branch, but all these CP study circle and CP chapter will also list their program at the same portal, at same dashboard. So member, those who want to learn of his relevance, he is useful, he can choose the topic and he pay directly from the single portal. So member has got to sub all the website of the 175 branch. Whenever he needs that, I am of the opinion that whenever members require which knowledge he want to acquire, that we will ready to provide him. Another, normally member is attending the CPE programs, they are signing a physical paper, branch upload the papers, physical attendance mark. But now we are planning that why we should waste the main hours for all this time-based process where the system can take place. Suppose all these members, those who want to attend, they come into auditoriums. All the registered party names, we will send a mail with app. So we will display one code in the auditoriums. This is the code. Those who attend the party programs, they will just upload the code. So real time CP will be updated. तो श्रीकांत जी जैसा कि काम कम हो जाएगा वहां पे,
जी सर,
आपको वापस डबल करने की जरूरत नहीं. मैं
What
बायोमेट्रिक्स, आई एम नॉट सेइंग अबाउट द बायोमेट्रिक्स कि बायोमेट्रिक्स है आए और उनको पढ़ाए, लेकिन हम सिस्टम्स को इजी कर सकते हैं. जैसे एयरपोर्ट पे जाते हैं, चिट्ठी ऑटोमेटिक निकल सकती है, गाड़ी एंटर हुई, चिट्ठी निकल गई, वापस आए टाइम पे है तो ठीक है, वरना पे एंड आउट. ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन की जरूरत नहीं है. तो जहां पे सिस्टम केयर कर सकती है तो ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज का कहीं और यूज करें. दिस इज द नंबर 2 सजेशन. थर्ड, you are attending this webinar, so your unstructured जो लर्निंग आवर है CP, वो ऑटोमेटिकली recorded in your portal. So there is not need to file a physical paper because 31st May is the last date that you have to claim the unstructured CP hours. So we have already planned. members को डिस्टर्ब नहीं करना, वो दूसरे काम करें. अगर आपने प्रोग्राम अटेंड किया, रजिस्टर्ड लिंक पे प्रोग्राम रजिस्टर किया, तो आपको CP hours अनस्ट्रक्चर मिल जाएंगे. So this is the very another. I'm always saying audit is a serious business. Looking to the action taken by NAFRA, Institute, and SEBI, member has to be serious. Audit ऐसे नहीं चलेगा. Audit में आपको ध्यान देना पड़ेगा. Whenever we organize a program of the income tax and GST, the auditorium is full, member with the full attendance. But when it comes to the audit is our core business. Audit is near to our heart. Member is not so serious. क्योंकि जब भी प्रॉब्लम होगी, नाफ्रा या इंस्टीट्यूट या सेबी कोई भी डॉक्यूमेंट्स मंगवाएंगे, और डॉक्यूमेंट्स अपने पास है नहीं, तो हम अपना बचाव कैसे करेंगे? हम क्लाइंट के इनकम टैक्स की नोटिस आती है तो कहा इतना सीरियस हो जाते हैं, जैसे अपना सब कुछ चला गया, उसके लिए ये पेपर लाओ, वो पेपर लाओ. लेकिन जब अपने ऊपर कोई आएगा तब हमारे पास क्या? तो मैं आपको बोलता कि ऑडिट को सीरियस लेने की जरूरत है. इसी सीक्वेंस में हम धनंजय को बुलाया है. ही इज अ टेक्निकल पर्सन. I know Dhananjay bhai since long back. He is a master of Excel also. सना मैडम से मेरा अभी परिचय हुआ. दोनों अपने अपने क्षेत्र के उत्कृष्ट है. सो मैं ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लूंगा, ये पूरा का पूरा मौका इनको देता हूँ, धनंजय जी और सना मैडम को. और मैं आल्सो थैंक यू श्रीकांत भाई. श्रीकांत भाई आप आए, टाइम दिया इंस्टीट्यूट के लिए, खूब खूब धन्यवाद. दोनों खूब खूब धन्यवाद. थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the programs that CP is going to be taking in the next year. Now I take the opportunity to introduce C. Dhananjay Kedar Gokhale, speaker for first session Digital Audit Trail Care CA need to take and how to benefit from it. The short profile is he has more than 10 years of experience in the field of finance and information technology. He has delivered multiple sessions on financial report import, Excel, cloud-based office management across various platforms. He has also written articles on information technology related topics in CA Journal. So I would like to mention that today we got more than 400 registration for this program. Now I request speaker CA Dhananjay Gokhale sir to take over the charge of this session.
So thank you entire CP committee of ICA for providing me this stage to share my knowledge with all of our members. So I think Purushottam sir has already set the stage. So I think few things which I was going to mention. So thanks sir, first of all, for bringing few issues so that now this session will continue in that direction.
Yes, please.
So the very first point, I think, sir, so there was very specific reason I chose this topic. And I think you very aptly mentioned that reason. So recently I saw that this NAFRA thing and many things. So in WhatsApp, we come to know about many things. So I thought now, and even recently I somewhere read in that ICA has gone completely digital. Uh, so this topic was chosen deliberately based on that, because now going forward, see, if even ICA is in going in this way, if you notice, now it is going paperless. So generally whatever I used to read in audit, that about the audit trail, so how digitally audit trail used to be happen, and now these things are going to vanish away. But audit trail is not going to vanish away. It only thing is that it has changed its way. So Now we are making digital documents instead of physical document. But let me build some background. At least in physical format, audit trail was in our control. Okay, in digital format, it is not an optional thing. It is a mandatory thing. It is not a mandatory thing in the way that we have to do it. System is going to do it. And you cannot mess with the system. You cannot mess with each and everything of the system. And this is what the point which I want to make in this session. So let me give you some brief overview of this session. So I would be going through few PPT slides, and after that, so this session would be going slightly to the forensic dimensions, because again we are talking about the digital audit trail. So now it's very important that members should know that what are the audit trail, and the topic I was actually going to think was silent audit digital trails, but I thought let let me show you all those trails which possible for me to show. Okay, so I think let me share my screen. Let's brief up with some PPT, and I would try to make this session more on the interactive side or maybe on demonstration based side. Okay, now I am not very much fan of PPT and this thing, but still now the topic is a bit technical. So let's start with some uh, slides. Okay, now again I told audit trail is something not new. We all have read this day, uh, this term in our auditing and this subject. Okay, but I am not going to read this definition because you know, and even I have copy pasted it from Wikipedia. So this is a very technical, I would say, definition. But one thing I noticed, Wikipedia had a bit biased definition. Not I will say a biased definition, but this definition of Wikipedia is more aligned to the technological aspect. So I didn't find it very much on the physical side. And this is what definition I was looking for, that audit trail is not, or we know it as audit log, the security relevant chronological set, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's focus on some portion of the definition. Record that provides documentary evidence of the sequence of activities. Okay, sequence of activities. This is what I am going to focus in today's sessions, that how silently sequence of activities build up in our regular uh, practicing scenarios. Okay, and many times we are not aware what audit trails are silently generated and stored by the system, and we are just doing our work, and one fine day some litigation comes and some forensic people come to our system. He will extract logs, and then we'll, hey, this is the log. And okay, I had done this, and I've seen that people tend to deny, no, no, this was a system, it was tampered. So let me tell you, it's not easy to tamper the system. It's very easy to tamper physical documents, like in loan files we have seen in bank audits. It's very easy to tamper, but digital thing, please note it, it's not easy to tamper. If you attempt to tamper any digital system, not only single record would be tampered, complete entire record would be tampered. And in any digital system, there is a system where when you tamper anything, it would generate triggers and alerts that someone is coming and tampering it. Okay. So again, that is another audit trail which is silently generated. Okay. So let me, I think, okay, now let's see what are the audit trails which are generated normally in CE's office. The very first thing is that every day we work with files. Okay, we'll receive some files on the email. Again, email, another audit trail. So let's take, assume a scenario that our client emails some financials to us. Okay, now please note how many audit trails are being created. So that client, let's say, is emailing his ERP data. Okay, trail number one created. So he emailed, so he sent it and we received it. Trails at the sending side, receiving side. Then you downloaded that file. Okay, your operating system, Windows, again makes a trail. Okay, let's say if you go to Chrome browser, you will see a entire download history. Okay, again, the audit trail created. Then the file is downloaded and saved on the hard disk. Another trail. Okay. Windows would be noting that on this day, this file was created. Another trail. And after that, we start working on it. Then it creates multiple silent copies of it, which I'm going to demonstrate how silently copies of file are created. So if you see the sequence, just in this process, many audit trails got created. Okay, many audit trails got created, which we even didn't think of. And there are few more which even I excluded. When you email that file, even Google was creating many silent trails in its systems. You attach the file, it created one more audit entry, audit log entry that this person from this IP address attached a file. Okay, then it's antivirus checked your file that whether you are emailing any software or not. Again, one external some antivirus software, it again created trails. So there are so many audit trail in just single activity which you used to think that okay, my client just emailed his tally data to me. No, there are many things. Then phone calls, even we call audit trail is created. WhatsApp chat. I have seen many people nowadays directly email files and their ideology is that, hey, WhatsApp is not traceable. So my argument is who said it is not traceable? Okay. Someone has sent you, so it is traceable and you have received it in your phone. So again, it is traceable on your end also, his end and your end. Okay. Router Wi-Fi access log. Why I wrote this point? So again, I will cover few examples, I think. Then IP address log. You go to income tax website. Let's say a log created. I'm going to show you a physical log of my website. Okay, don't worry. You start filing your means filling up your written form. Each time you save something, again something is going. Data is being saved in their system. All the sequence of events are being created. That 5 minutes ago, the figures were 0. Then after 5 minutes, you wrote salary figures. Okay, log created. Then CCTV footage. If any client is coming, it is a silent audit trail. So I consider CCTV footage also audit trail. So it is regular, normal, speaking, it is not audit trail, but let's say if it is any forensic angle, then it is an audit trail. And neighbor's CCTV camera. Okay, it even is many people even forget about this thing. So this is also an audit trail. And there are many more. Okay, let's discuss. And the audit trail saga continues. Okay, MCA 21. You remember this? So this edit log thing. So MCA came up initially in I think in 2020 or 2021. It came up with this that any ERP should have audit log feature. And all of you know, for 2 years, there are a lot of views and cry from members. And literally, I was surprised. Why was CA going to LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter and writing that, hey, this is a very burden on client. Okay. So I think that is up to client and MC. Okay. So I don't think we need to worry about it. So that is a very beneficial thing, according to me. Now, again, I will say that all the view I am expressing, it is purely my own. So you might have some different views. So we might not differ, but don't worry. We'll just discuss knowledge things. But if you realize this thing, after 2 years, many people felt that maybe for 2 years it was deferred, it will never come. But it came, it got implemented, and now we have proper guidance note for that, where it mentions that an auditor has to even check this for companies, corporate companies. Okay. So all of these things get implemented. So we cannot run away from audit trails. What I want to justify. Okay. Okay. Now let's say I think this was the last slide. Now audit trail also has some benefits which we will discuss later. But first, let me show you some audit trails. Okay. Now, before I start with some practical things, let me discuss some popular myths. And I know all of you would be able to link up with this to your daily office things. Okay. So, what are the few popular myths which I found in many of the CAs? Okay. So, I interact a lot with many chartered accountants and I have to come to notice few myths. So, I would not say everyone has, but majority of the CAs, our CA members have this myth. Okay, let me start few 4 to 5 myths I have heard. This is the very first myth. I have deleted that file. Okay, don't worry. चिंता मत करो, वो file delete होगी. So let me tell you, there is nothing called delete. Technically, there is no word called delete. Okay, delete doesn't happen at all in your PC. It's just that you are not showing your data. Okay, so when you delete your file, so that shutter gets closed, but there is definitely data behind that. Only thing is that that shutter, or maybe said that lid of that file is closed, but that doesn't mean file has been erased. Okay. Then the next myth which I found. So few even smarter CAs members, don't worry. Delete is not going to erase data. So that's why I got that hard disk formatted from our system engineer or hardware engineer. So let me tell you, there is nothing called formatting again. So in formatting, data is not erased. I have seen in forensic audit, even after formatting, many of the data has been able to be recovered. So it is just a myth that hard disk is formatted. Okay. So there is a format, but only it is means erasing that what files you have in that system, but it is not erasing the content. Okay. Now the next myth. So I carefully deleted all those emails. Okay. Let's say you get 2, 3 versions of data, financials from your client. Okay. So many CA will say that, okay, erase off that previous emails. That is not going to help. Again, same. Deletion happened from your side. But what about email servers? Did they really delete it? They just made it unavailable for us, not them. For them, it is available. And in every email, when we sign up for any email, and if you are really cared to read the terms and condition, and which all I know that many people just click next, 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 finish and sign up. So if you really read those terms and condition, it is clearly written that if any legal authority wants to probe and they come up to them that there is any fraud happened, these email companies are liable to give share data to legal authorities. Okay, so please don't be under impression that when you delete that email is gone. It is only made unavailable for you, not for other one. Okay. Okay. Few more smart members told. Okay, someone sends an email, so they instruct their client, don't worry, even you delete it. So I deleted those out of these 3 emails. First two I deleted from my email box. Even you delete it. Not going to help. Okay, because two persons are even after deletion, that email is getting unavailable to our client and for us. But what about those email provider? Let's say if someone is sending from Microsoft to Gmail. Okay, so if our client is on Microsoft and we are on Google, then there are audit trail on both end. Even Google is maintaining it, that email, and even Microsoft email box is maintaining. So even bigger problem. Okay. And the last myth, this is I think very much common. Don't email me that file. Send me the stuff with the pen drive. Okay. We'll directly and plug our that pen drive and we'll directly edit that file and plug out that pen drive और वो लेके जाना वो pen drive आपके इसमें. Please don't be under wrong impression. even logs are created for that. And even pen drive files are recoverable. So one of my pen drive once went into washing machine and almost it, it came after 2 days. I recorded it from my washing machine and then I ran that file undelete software and I got all my files from pen drive. So at least for me, it is proved that if you put your pen drive in washing machine, nicely wash it, you get all the files. Okay, I'm not joking. I really, this has happened with me. Okay, I think this was enough of the technical things. Let me take few case studies. Okay. So for that, I will have to launch my email. Okay, please read this first email. So let's say on Sunday, 19th May, somewhere in 9:45, that means somewhere in the night, my client emailed his audit data. Okay, emailed his, financials data to me for getting his books audited. I would say that who is emailing the data on the very May. So I have very good clients who are very prompt and email me data pretty early. Okay, don't worry, I'm joking. I don't think such clients are there, or maybe such client exist. Maybe I don't have such clients. You might be having. Okay, so this is just a dummy data. It is completely dummy thing which I created. Okay, so now please note. So this is the timing on Sunday night. That client emailed me his data. So naturally, what would be the first thing I would be doing? I'll be downloading this data. So this data was of Tally because he used Tally as his ERP. So I downloaded it. Okay, then I opened that data, started auditing. Okay, then next day I went and I saw another email from the same client. Hello, sir. Kindly ignore the backup I sent yesterday. Okay, I'm sharing the revised Tally backup. Okay, revised Tally backup. I hope this is a very common scenario which you would be getting. Even I used to get in my office. Okay. Now my first question. Now this is not an interactive session, but a webinar. I think Purushottam sir is there. So let's try to make. So we have co-speaker and Purushottam sir. Let's have some views. Okay. Let's have some fun. Purushottam sir, what is your view? Which backup I should be referring? What your experience tells about this scenario. So he emailed me on Sunday, and the very next day, again, his accounting staff did something and again emailed me that backup. Which one should I refer? So, Sanam, even you can present your views if you. A very typical tax audit scenario. Okay, so this was one of my let's say tax audit client. What would you do, or what we should be doing it? I think Purushottam sir is not there. Okay, I think let me present my views. Okay, so according to me, there are few conditions based on which, now again, according to me, that means my personal views. Okay, all these are my personal views. These views might differ. Okay, so ideally, I would be referring the latest data because something was changed. Maybe that client did he realized something was wrong. Maybe he changed few entries and emailed me back the modified data. Now let me run few forensic check because some audit trails are silently being created. So what was this audit trail? That the same company backup was emailed me twice. Okay. And it is of same size. And one funny thing about this was that trial balance was completely matching. Okay. There was as such uh, no change in the grand totals of the trial balance. Okay, now let me show you some interesting things when I tried to probe this. So the very first difficult thing is to identify that what changed. Okay, because what I want to thrust upon that there might be some few issues. Okay, where maybe I should be ignoring the latest email. Okay, something connected to tax audit, which maybe Sana madam might be touching up. So I would not be repeating it. But there are few uh, sections of our income tax which we are required to audit. Okay, and in our tax audit report, we need to clarify about this. So I feel that this is a very conditional scenario. In some scenario, maybe I should refer that this latest backup, and there might be one scenario where I should ignore this latest backup from my client, and I would say no, I would not accept this backup you emailed. I would stick to the previous backup and I will issue a qualification. Again, this is very conditional thing, which is my view, your view might be different. Okay, so let me add some forensic angle for this. Okay, now it's very difficult to actually track that what really changed in ERP. Like let's say if it might be a company, then edit log feature is enabled. Like in Tally, it has edit log version, so which corporates are generally required to install and use. So if edit log feature is used, naturally any editing, it would be very easily tracked. So any entries changed, anything alteration is happening, it is very easily trackable. But this was partnership firm, so naturally they would not be using this edit log or audit trail version of ERP. But still, according to me, maybe it is, I feel that it is our duty to track what has changed and maybe if it is affecting our opinion in the tax audit report. Okay, let me show you. So let's start with some demonstration portion. Okay, now it is the same company. So what I'm going to do, so let me in my Tally create two folders. Okay, I will say before or previous. Okay, before, and I will say next folder is after, before and after. So I got two backups. This was previous and this was next. So I'm downloading this backup in before. Okay. So this was my original email. Let me download this backup in before. I will save as this company in before folder. Okay. And the next company, I'm saying it, saving it in after to track what really changed and if I am required to do means qualify anything in my report. Okay, I'm saying this, saving the same version or maybe modified version of the company, another next backup in after. Okay, let me unzip both of them. Extract here, again before, extract here. Okay, so let me start. So I am demonstrating this for Tally Prime, but you can do this for any ERP. If you can access the data very easily in Excel. So let me start with the before data. Okay, before data. So again, this is a very fake, synthetically created data. It was created very deliberately to showcase few scenarios. So this is my very favorite client, fraudulent syndicates. As the name suggests, it does only fraud. Okay. Okay, now I want to track that what really changed. Okay, now it's very difficult to track that what really changed because we are not using audit tracking version of this Tally. But I'm saying you can very easily track even using this. Okay, let me show you few tricks. Okay, now what I'm going to do, few things since I don't have enough time, okay, it is just 1 hour session. Few things I would not be explaining. You can email me if you want this thing. Okay, so I have one utility, okay, which can export all the data of tally into CSV files. And this CSV file, so it would export transactions and all the debit credits into CSV file. And I'm going to import those CSV file into Excel. So I would do this for previous version, and I would do this for the next version or version which he emailed afterwards. And I would compare that which voucher entries really changed and which debit credit got changed. Okay, let's see. Again, this is a very interesting thing. So this is my previous, okay, this is my previous data which he emailed on Sunday. Let me run this utility. It will generate CSV files for me. And there would be many CSV files, but I would be just importing the voucher and accountings, okay, debit credits. So I'm interested in only two CSV files. So let me open an Excel file here just for reference. Okay, so I'm creating two Excel files, one called before. So how my data leaked previously, and next file called after, same like that tally folder. Okay, so I have two files, before and after. So let me open this CSV file. So I have one file which tells me that which are the transactions, what are the transactions of tally. Okay, now naturally, one thing generally what happens when you go in any ARP, okay, it never expose you internal working. Let's say if I open any of my voucher, okay, let's say if I open any expenditure, like let's say round off, not round off, security charges. Okay. Now, if I open this entry, this only signifies that this entry is dated for 30th April 2021. But that doesn't mean this entry might have been passed in 30th April. It might have been created in next financial year, maybe in May or June. Okay, you never know what can happen. So few internal things you never know. And even this voucher numbers, many times it gets shuffled. You insert one voucher somewhere between and all the voucher numbers get changed. But in this utility, I'm tracking that what is the internal number. So in any ERP system, there is an internal voucher number. Okay. So, so this voucher number 1, 2, 3, this might change, but their internal time stamping number will never change. So this is just nothing but a time stamped number of any voucher. And this never change. You cannot change. Even if you delete this, that number would be gone and next number would arrive. Okay. But you can never tamper with this system in any ARP. Okay. And there is one more field which is provided by ERP. So typically I've seen this tally called alter, which says that if any voucher gets modified, if you modified, this number would automatically change. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to compare this internal voucher numbering because I cannot rely on this voucher numbering, which appears here. Okay. In tally. So this voucher number, it's very easy to tamper upon. You just insert any voucher in between and this voucher number would change. But this system generated number will never change. Okay, now what I am going to do. So basically I'm going to, let me prepare my before version of the file. Okay. So before, so I'm copy pasting few fields. Okay. Sales voucher, which date and on which. Okay. Let me copy paste few things here. And let's freeze first row, top row. Okay. So these were my voucher before. Okay, voucher before, and I'll be exporting, doing the same for voucher after. Okay, and let me even say debit credit. What are the debit credit before and what are the debit credit afterward? Okay, DRCR after. So there is one more file where all the debit credits have been captured again with that same internal numbering for the same transaction. Okay, let me copy this. Okay, all the debit credits in the before side. And let's do this for afterwards also. Okay, so I will close this files, close this Excel file. I already have this both files on web version. I think this is just comparison, not before after. Okay, let me open now after version. Now the next backup which I received. So I will go to after folder. Okay, and let me again run this, run all those files. Now what I'm going to really do is that first compare that for which voucher numbers, okay, which internal generated voucher number, this alter ID changed. If this differs, then that voucher got modified. Okay. So, okay, my CSV files got generated. Let me copy paste them up. Again, few fields from, okay, now this is position after. Okay. And debit credit after. Again, next file. And there are some now implications which you need to really see. Okay, now I'm going to ask Tally. Okay, I'm hiding few fields. Now I'm going to ask Tally. No, sorry, not Tally. I'm going to ask Excel. Okay, that these voucher numbers cannot be tampered. Okay, but this number changes whenever voucher is modified. Okay, so I'm going to use lookup. Okay, to compare that if any voucher got altered. Okay, so I'm using XLOOKUP formula function is equal to XLOOKUP, and I'm going to say that this internal system generated voucher number ID, okay, you find it, try to search here and give me the alter ID for this voucher. Okay, if I get any alter ID, okay, and I'm going to now compare it. Okay, or make a difference of this. So I'm going to subtract this alter ID from this one. If I get difference 0, that means voucher is not altered. And if I get non other than 0, that means this voucher is altered. Then I'm going to see that what were the debit and credit. Okay, let me select few vouchers. 0, I'm not interested. These vouchers were never altered. Hash NA means this voucher was not found. This voucher was inserted in Tally. And this voucher got modified. Okay, this alter ID 3168 and 3167. So this all voucher got modified. Okay, let me see which voucher is this. So this was the payment voucher. Okay, payment voucher. Payment voucher done on the date 17/9. Okay, voucher number 320. Let's see. So this is the afterwards, newer backup. So let me go to payment voucher. Okay, payment voucher done on date 17/9. So maybe I can go to day book and try to find this. 17th April, voucher number 320. Okay, so expense, stationery expense 960. So this is the voucher 9,600. It is in cash. Okay. And there is one more voucher you can see on 21st. This was added, voucher number 321, which was not there. Okay, 321, which was not there in previous system. So that voucher got added on 21st 9. I think let me pull up 21st 9. Let me change the date. 21st 9. 321. Okay, 5,000 rupees. So I think let me check the stationery ledger. Ledger voucher, I will say stationery ledger, and let's display this. 142 31 3. Okay, 14,600 total expenditure of stationery, 9,600 and 5,000. Okay, so total expenditure 14,600. Let me take a screenshot of this. Let me screenshot. So this was in changed version of the backup. Okay, this was in changed version of the backup. I think I will have to paste it in pen brush here. Okay, paste. Okay, and let me check this ledger account stationery expenditure in previous version of backup. Okay, in previous version of the tallies backup. I'll launch one more tally before. Okay, so this is one is before. Unfortunately, company name is same. Okay, we cannot very easily track this. I'll go to ledger vouchers, stationery ledger, and 14,600. Okay, let me compare both. So here there are two transactions, 9,600, 5,000. So in the previous backup, our client emailed. So this expenditure was 14,600 done in cash in a single day. And the next backup, our client emailed. Okay. So this cash expense was split into two. Now I know what has happened. So I'm not going to tell anything about this. You know this. Okay. You know the required provisions of the Income Tax Act, and you know what are the guidelines or what we have to do for this in the tax audit. Okay. Now, again, what we should do, or maybe what would you do? Now, let me explain it for me. So, in this case, since my client emailed me this, okay, my client emailed me this. So there was a so now this was a sort of falsification of books. So it is a very clear evidence of falsification. He deliberately split out this up. Okay. Now issue is that if we had got directly this version of backup, then no issue. But issue is that in our email box, I received two versions of backup. Okay. And he says, please ignore that. Please ignore that. Now issue is that I have the both version of backup. I downloaded this backup. Okay. And when I open this, if you see, the log was created in my tally. If you see my tally prime folder, so there was properly my browser. If I go to this download one, and if I click see more, you can see that properly I downloaded this. So Google Chrome maintain the log, and even in tally prime folder, if you see, there is a log which says I opened this file. Okay. So this file got modified. So I downloaded this file. I opened this backup. I started auditing on this, and I then received it. So issue is that we are aware of this. So in my opinion, maybe in this scenario, we should consider this previous backup, because there is a falsification of books which is clearly visible. Okay, which is clear. If you apply this small forensics procedures, now I don't think this was a very difficult thing. Okay, this was very simple. It took only 5 to 10 minutes just to identify me that which vouchers were tampered, and then you can open both the backups and cross verify that what was the transaction and which transaction got changed. Okay, even few more transaction got changed. Okay, three receipts got added. If you see, okay, in previous version that was different. So this was tampered one. So this was latest version. Okay, let me go to the previous version. Let me show you something. Which were those vouchers which got modified? Okay. So in the latest version, it says that these three vouchers got receipt voucher got added. Let me go to the latest version, at least to identify which are these voucher numbers. Okay, so I saw this. Let me check. Receipt on 18th 4. Okay, receipt on 18th 4. So let me go to day book and track on 18th 4. There was a receipt of 18,000. What was this? This is Suresh. Okay, now what is Suresh? Which ledger this is? Let me check by altering. Suresh. Unsecured loans. Okay, I think this is very clear story. Okay, so this was these three vouchers got inserted. Okay, these vouchers were not present in previous backup. Okay, so if you go to in previous backup and let's try to see unsecured loans. Okay, so previously this was the transaction. So unsecured loan taken in cash 50,000 rupees from a party. Okay, and what happened after that? In next backup, this 50,000 were split into three parts. Okay, three different parties. Clearly violation of 269 SS. So again, I'm saying this is a clear falsification. Let's say if any depreciation entry, which was maybe that client rectified and he emailed it, that is a fine. That is not a falsification of book. But this is very clearly falsification of books. Okay. And issue is that all the audit trails have been created. He emailed us. Okay. So we are aware of that. So that puts us in the position that, yes, I am aware of what is happening with this. Okay. So let me tell you, please be careful about these things. There are silent audit trails which are created, which are not, we are even not aware. So we have to be very careful, not just in tax audit. So this was the tax audit scenario I chose, but this can happen with bank audit, any type of audit. Okay. Even with our GST working and anything. So it's my humble appeal to all members. Please be careful with this. Okay. We are not responsible. You may feel that we are not responsible for this, but it is our duty that if anything like this is happening, then maybe it's very safe to issue a qualified opinion saying clearly stating that yes, we received these two backups and we clearly observed this thing, and that's why in our my opinion this was the thing. Okay, again my suggestion, your views might be different, but again I would like to go on safer side and like to suggest this to all of our members to be on safe side and avoid any legal litigations coming to our firms. Okay, I think Purushottam sir had already given background for this. All this Nafra thing and many things are happening, disciplinary community thing. So let's try to prevent all this thing and let's be vigilant so that this thing doesn't happen with it. And regarding something that how we can benefit with this, I think I really didn't took this portion that how a CA can benefit with this. So now again, this is my view. This is again my view. Let me try to grab that. Okay, according to me, these are few benefits. So if there is a natural vigil, okay, if there is natural vigil, we will not do this. Okay, so naturally we are improving ourselves. So audit trails for our even improvement. And again, it also helps with recovery of data. Let's say if our file got deleted, if you are not aware about this digital audit trail, you would be of opinion that we data is lost, but no, data is not lost. You can always install this forensic software which can uh, retrieve all your files. Okay, so this is with your rescue time travels, and this is also terms as something it helps with audit time travel. Okay, so maybe audit documentation you can rely on this. So there are sequence of event happening you can properly document this and for audit, which can help. Okay, and it will also help to strengthen our internal control. Okay, once we become compliant, naturally, it would be very beneficial for our peer reviews, even for our daily working. Okay, one who is organized has always some benefits. So please be vigilant and please be careful so that you don't fall into this trap. Okay. I think this was all which I wanted to focus and bring to our members' notice. So let me hand over my session to the committee.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, over to you.
Thank you, sir. We have a few questions from the member. One of the questions from C.H. Srinivasan, yes, from Bangalore. He has asked you how blockchain can be used to effectively track audit trails and improve quality of tax audits.
Sir, actually, blockchain is a thing which I have seen implemented in data centers. Okay, but blockchain is something a bit costly, I will say. For implementing the same thing in CA's office, definitely it's a costly thing. But what I want to focus is that, see, these things are automatically getting created. So this is nothing but trail. Okay, blockchain is just enforcing those trail, or maybe it is encrypting and locking those trail. Okay, that's the only thing. So blockchain trail, generally tampering is difficult, and these types of audit trail you can tamper a bit. Okay, but not totally tamper it with. Sir, any more questions?
Yes, sir. Also, how to use AI for the above purpose? Can you please give reference to a few websites which can effectively use for audit trail in tax audits?
Now, personally, I have not used, so I use very crude and raw this techniques. So yes, AI can analyze this. So whatever I demonstrated in Excel, maybe AI will quickly just prepare a gist and produce that, yes, this thing changed. But again, I would like to issue an cautions. Please don't put this in AI. Okay, AI is means tracking all the data. So since this is a client sensitive data, I would not recommend to use any AI for this. Use AI just to generate Excel formulas. If you are not very much familiar with Excel, yes, take help of that AI, which will assist you. But please don't disclose your data with AI. I know Chat GPT has recently introduced this button where you can upload the file and it will do all the magic for you. Okay, but please don't do that magic. Okay, it's this magic is for a different purpose, not for our auditing purpose. So we have to very, like Umesh sir always say one thing, that we have to use it very responsibly. What to disclose to AI and what not, that is a very crucial thing. So yes, AI will assist, but we have to be very careful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for insightful discussion and knowledge shared by you. It was very fantastic session. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.
Now it's time to start our next session, improving quality of tax audit. For that purpose, we have C.S. Sana Bakai ma'am from Delhi. She has over 18 years of experience as a chartered accountant. She is the chairperson of the Student Development Committee of II India and specially invited to the Ethical Standard Board of ICA. She has delivered more than 300 sessions on various platforms for ICA, ICSI, and IIA, etc. She has also co-authored book on fraud prevention and detection through internal control. Now I request Sana ma'am to take over the charge of the session.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving the brief introduction. Is my screen visible to all? Okay, fantastic. So let's just start. Improving the quality of tax audit. A lot of people have asked me that why you are talking about tax audit. We are more focused on audits. That is where NAFRA is following us. Why only focusing on the tax audit? How many of you do you know that there is a tax audit quality review board at ICI, which was established long back in 2017, wherein they are putting in efforts to ensure that the quality of the tax audit also needs to be improved, especially after introduction of Section 271J. We all know that it is a penalty for the chartered accountant for misreporting. So that is one of the basic reasons that not only the statutory audit or otherwise, the quality of tax audit also have its own significance. In this session, I'll be sharing with you the common pitfalls, the common mistakes which we do during our filing of the 3CA, CB, and CD. So let's just start with 3CA, CB. What are the common mistakes in it? 3CA and CB, either of the two will apply to a assessee, not both. 3CA, as we know, it applies to all the audits where the assessee has done audit somewhere under any other law as well. For example, a company or a LLP or maybe a trust, etc. So that means Form 3CA will, or a society where they need to be audited under the Societies Act or the Companies Act. There 3CA will apply. In all other cases, 3CB is required. So 3CA, it has total 3 paragraphs, short, simple. There, the examination of the books by the auditor is already being done by the statutory auditor, that responsibilities taken care by them. Opinion is to be given only in respect of the clauses of 3CD. And all those observation comes in paragraph 3 of Form 3CA. Let me show you the template for 3CA. So it says that I or we report that the statutory audit of the assessee with the respective PAN number, it has already been done, and my copy of accounts and the already pre-audited financials have been identified in clause 1. Clause 2, general, which says that the whole report is attached in 3CD. Very crucial part of this form is para 3. Para 3 says that in respect of form number 3CD, here are my observation or qualifications, if any. How many of us really put our observation or qualification in this paragraph? Very less. Usually I have seen for the smaller audits, we just leave it blank. This should not happen. I'll tell you why. Because earlier, when we used to file our tax audit in a physical format, we have the option to write anything anywhere in the respective column in front of, and there used to be column, we put the clause and then we put the detail or our comments on it. However, now with the digital mode of the 3CA, 3CD, we do have that option, but all the limitation, qualifications, or any disclaimer needs to be covered in 3C, in 3CA or 3CB as the case may be. So you must be wondering what it needs to be covered. First of all, identification of the responsibility of the auditor and the auditee. Both has to be included over here. And apart from this, we also need to include some disclaimers which we used to give, like in respect of section 40A3, where we cannot verify whether the payment has been made by account paid check or not. It is only the process which we see and then reported based on the management representations. Same is with the clauses wherein we need to report for the transactions covered under 269SS and 269T. Because the account pay check, we really cannot verify at a later stage because the copy of the check is usually lying with the bank. So in that case, we take a management representation letter, and based on that, earlier in our physical format, we used to include that. Now we need to include those disclaimers over here only. Coming to 3CB, it has total of 5 paragraphs. 3 are exactly same, which we have seen. The additional paragraph is the identification of the unaudited financials. And as an auditor, we also need to comment on the true and fair view of the financial statement. So as an auditor, we need to additionally give that the accounts has been properly maintained, and the auditor gives that opinion in 3CA, in clause 3 of 3CB, wherein it is mentioned that they have obtained information, proper books have been kept, and it is showing true and fair view. So while doing tax audit, I should reiterate that we all are bound to follow the standards of auditing. It is not only the statutory audit where we are required to follow that, it is all kind of audit, including tax audit, where we are bound to follow standards of auditing. So be it right from the engagement to planning or the quality control to finally the reporting, all the standards equally apply on tax audit. So if you look at it, 3CB, in para 3, in para 3, we need to identify and also say that, yes, these are the books we need to keep, and it is showing true and fair view. If you look at the utility, it will give one option to add qualification or observation over here. And this para 5 is same as the previous one of 3CA, which I have already discussed. While filing this, SA 700 will equally apply. Do we really take care of the provision of SA 700 in our tax audit reports? I'm not sure how many of us really understand and follow it. If you have seen the guidance note on tax audit, which is issued by ICAI, it also mentioned that we need to follow and mark the assessee and the tax auditor's responsibility with respect to the statement of particulars in Form 3CD. These are the sample paragraphs, which you can modify based on the situation, but needs to be included in para 3 of 3CB. The tax auditor's responsibility, that also needs to be identified, where we have to say that we are reasonably giving assurance and the audit was conducted following the standards of auditing in case of any material misstatement, etc. That is being reported herein. And of course, with respect to the professional judgment and the professional skepticism, we are following that throughout the audit. Further, we also identify the risk and assess the risk of material misstatement of financial statement, whether due to fraud or error, design or perform audit procedure responsive to those risk, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis of our opinion. So if you go through it, these all are available in the guidance note as well, which says that in case of 3CB, where we are doing audit of the financial statements also, since it is not being audited by the statutory auditor, we are required to include those responsibility statements in para 3 of 3CB. of course, talking about the internal control, going concern assumption, and appropriateness of the accounting policies, which is basically based on the generally accepted accounting principles that has duly been followed. Then overall presentation structure and the content of the financial statement. We need to comment on it as well. Now, with respect to para 5 and para 3 plus guidance notes, what does it really says? These are the points which we need to include in it, that the assessee is responsible for the preparation of the statements, which is required to be furnished under 344 AB. So this is the comments or the opinion on the tax audit report or the 3CD. So as per guidance note, it says that we need to identify that, and we have to comment on it that it is giving true and correct particulars as per the provision of Income Tax Act 1961. So the initial paragraphs, the assessee responsibility and the tax auditor responsibility needs to be part of para 3 of 3CB, where the accounts were not audited anywhere else. Here, it needs to be included. This is a standard for all. It has, be it 3CA or 3CB, we have to identify the information given in form 3CD is true and correct. And again, as an auditor, we are responsible for verifying these details, which is again we have done our audit in accordance with the guidance note. Apart from that, in this 3CD and 3CA or 3CB, para 3 or 5 respectively, we also need to give the detail of that the MRS which I was talking about, that 40A3 is one instance where we cannot verify and we rely on the management representation. We simply check the processes and the or control and accordingly report on it. So this paragraph needs to be part of your 3CA or 3CB. Same is with 269SS and 269T, whether it is covering all the details or not, or based on the management represented. These are the minimum things which you need to include in 3CA or 3CB. These are typically the minimum things which you need to include. Then qualification paragraph, in case of tax deduction or collection, if you are not able to do the reconciliation, you should also include it in the qualification paragraph. With respect to the short deduction, we of course put it in the respective clause 34 and clause 21B of the tax audit report as in 3CD. But again, we need to put it over here in case if there is any difference. What else we can include in the qualification paragraph? As per the guidance note, if there is any comment, discrepancy or inconsistency, which we have noticed, that also needs to be included over there. And where the tax audit reports which were examined, and if there is any qualification which is given in para 3 or the statutory auditor, that also needs to be, if it is having any impact on 3CD, that also needs to be covered over here. In general, to ensure that there should not be any issue, and as a best practice, what we should do is, in any of the sub-clauses where information is not available, instead of leaving it blank, nil, zero, or not applicable, whatever can be mentioned, that should be mention over there to ensure that we have visited that clause and specifically putting our comments on it, whether it is not applicable or the information is nil or zero, that needs to be put in. And if any particular column, after considering its applicability, either yes, no, or not applicable, that needs to be reported if it is a drop down in the utility. And no column should typically be left blank over there. So the idea is that we have each and every clause and put the information over there. So the first part of the text audit report, 3CA, 3CB, of course, we need to take care of specifically the qualifications and the tax auditor and the assessee's responsibility. That we need to ensure that we are putting in all these detail over there. It is forming part of the guidance note. You can check the latest one and find out the kind of language and modify it based on your needs. Do you think that a physically signed report should also be attached with the 3CD? Let me share my experience on it. It is always a good practice where the data is huge. It is always preferred to attach a physically signed report. Why? Because at times due to technical glitch, in case if you miss to put the information correctly in the 3CD, which is uploaded in the JSON format, if there is any technical glitch, maybe because of the software or the utility, what we are seeing on the screen is not there in the JSON. So as a saving for the tax auditor, if we are putting a signed copy of the tax audit report and duly attached to it, it will always be considered as, and as an auditor, it will be a saving for us. Now, coming to Form 3CD, it's a complete checklist audit. We all know tax audit is nothing but a checklist audit. We have 44 clauses across with multiple sub-clauses in it. And we need to report exactly over there what has been asked from us. Let's understand what are the commonly found issues over there. Address clause number 2. So I'm sharing some of the observations which is being published by the Tax Audit Quality Review Board. What has been observed that as per the guidance note, the tax audit report should contain the address which is being communicated by the assessee to the income tax department or assessment purpose on the date of signing of the report. However, in certain cases, tax audit report address reported in this clause is different from the one which is mentioned in the annual report or registered under MCA, which is expected to be the address with the income tax department. So to ensure that there should not be any error in it, mention the annual report or the registered office address as per MCA. And in case if your assessee is not covered under, is not a company or is not registered anywhere else, however, they are registered in GST, ensure that their address should be matching from the GST address. Or maybe address as per the PAN letter. Next, clause 4, where we need to mention the indirect tax registration. What has been observed is that there are certain registration numbers which was not based on PAN. However, they were reported under this clause. We all know that GST is now PAN based completely, and we can always say that this GST number belongs to the assessee, and this is the one which is not. So in case if there is any mismatch, so the PAN-based registration, they have to match with the PAN. However, there is an exception to it. Any idea about it? Yes. In case of merger, wherein two entities have been merged, in that case, the PAN number, as in the GST number of the previous entity, will be carried forward by the finally merged entity. That is the only exception. Other than that, it has to be only based on the PAN of the assessee. And all registrations, which is there under the indirect tax laws, as mentioned in Caro, has to be mentioned over here. So these are the apparent mistakes which has been noticed. Ensure that you are not making these mistakes while filing your tax audit reports. Clause 8, which says under which clause tax audit is conducted. Usually we put while we are conducting audit in respect of the companies or the entities where the audit has already been conducted by any other auditor. So in that case, A is selected. So instead of A, which says that clause 44A, that is the total sale or turnover, gross receipts in business exceeding specified limits. So instead of just selecting one, you have option to select multiple as well. And you also need to select the third proviso to section 44AB, that is audited under any other law. So typically you need to select these two. The primary one is audited under any other law. Ensure that you are not missing on this. Clause 10A, business activity. So in few tax audit report, quote for the business and profession for the principal line of each of the business has not been reported. What might be the case? And how we can identify these issues? Check with the ITR. If you check the previous ITR and whatever activities has been reported over there, ensure that at least those activities, until unless it is closed, it should be carried in your tax audit report for the subsequent period. Clause 11A, which talk about books of accounts. I have seen multiple tax audit reports where it has been written over there as yes. So if you look at this clause, 44AA does not prescribe the books for a company. It only prescribes the book for those who are professionals. And also Companies Act does not specifically prescribe books of accounts for a company. However, in certain cases, yes was reported under this clause, which is not correct. It says whether the books have been prescribed or not. It has to be no. Under section 44AA, no books are prescribed for a company. So ensure that you should write it correctly that the books are not prescribed. And clearly mention no in this clause. Then location of the books. Where the location of the maintenance of the books of accounts or records has not been specified in some tax audit report. That was the observation. Location of server also has not been reported in case of maintenance of records in ERP-based computer systems. Also, the fact that the books of accounts are maintained in computer system is also not mentioned in some cases. If you check clause 11B, it is specifically asked where the books are maintained. If it is at the registered address, then it's fine. If it is other than registered address, you need to specifically mention that. And along with it, with identification of all the books of accounts, which needs to be mentioned, you also need to mention whether it is maintained electronically or not. So while you are writing books of account, the name of the book, as in say cash book, within bracket, you can always write maintained electronically. It is a compulsory requirement of form clause 11B of form 3CD, which is usually ignored by us. In many of the tax audit report, it is missing where the books are located. And however, in case the books are maintained at a server or over a cloud, the address of that cloud needs to be mentioned. Few people asked me that though we have maintained it on a server, but we from a third-party service provider, how can we know about the location where the server is there, where our books are really maintained? If you connect with your service provider, ask them, they will definitely give you the address of the server where the server are maintained. So they give you option in case of big organization, they must be aware that where their server are located. And in that case, even if you are a smaller one, doesn't matter, you simply let your client ask from the respective service provider, they will provide the address of the server. Then clause 13E, ICDS adjustment. So what is the challenge? Adjustments required to be reported in the subclause are not fully disclosed. While reporting is done in respect of some of the ICDS, other are just left blank in order to ensure clarity. If no adjustments are to be reported, 0 or nil should be reported over there. So all the ICDS adjustments that needs to be duly reported. And where there is no adjustment, in that case, nil or 0 should be mentioned. The next clause 13F, again related to ICDS. What happened in this case is, in this clause, it talk about the reporting of information pertaining to each ICDS notified or the disclosures, and not only where any deviation from the notified ICDS is encountered. That means in case there is no deviation, even then you need to put in your policy for it, how you are following it. ICDS talk about this clause is specifically for the disclosures. Deviation is there in 13E, and here it talk more about disclosures, not only in those cases where there is deviation, but in all cases. So in few tax audit reporting was done only where deviation was encountered, which is not appropriate. So to ensure that we are not missing out or making any mistake, ensure that the disclosure is required for all and not only for the exception. We need to report for all the ICDS which is applicable to the assessee. 14A, it talk about the method of valuation of the stock. So TAQRB has observed that the valuation of the closing stock, which needs to be mentioned over there, is not mentioned for each category of the item. So if you have, of course, it may not be possible where the line items are more, but I'm sure the category is always available. So in that case, for different categories, we need to mention it separately. And it was also observed that in some cases, reference was given in respect of annexure, which is not attached. If you are referring any annexure, kindly attach the same in the preceding. So method of valuation for each item of the stock is to be maintained and needs to be reported over there. It is not only For the total number of items you are putting in, that it is based on FIFO, whatever, cost or market value, whichever is lower. It has to be for all line items. Contingent liability. If you look at the clause 21 of the tax audit report, which talk about the contingent liability. So it says particulars of contingent liability are to be reported and not provision created in the books, which has been done in certain cases. What has been done is that contingent liability provision is reported. However, the actual contingent liability is not reported over there. So report only the contingent liability and not provision created in the books. Next clause, 32A, which says that you need to put in the details of the demand which has been raised. So section under which assessment order is passed, date of order and the demand identification number or the DIN is required to be reported under this clause. However, complete details were missing in many of the tax audit reports. So ensure that where the demand has been raised, ensure that you're mentioning all the sections with the assessment order date and along with date and the DIN. The column, it is duly editable. You can put in all the information over there. There is no problem. And any assessment, rectification, revision, or appeal proceeding which is pending at the time of tax audit have to be disclosed in the remarks column by way of information. For example, in case the demand has been raised during assessment and the assessee has filed a appeal to CIT appeals. In that case, in the tax audit report, you need to mention that fact in the remarks column that appeal is pending before CIT appeals. Clause 32B, change in shareholding. Only yes or no can be reported under this clause in respect of companies. Where you are filing the tax audit report for a company, what has been observed is that in some tax audit report for the companies, they have reported not applicable. See, the change of shareholding clause in clause 32B, it talk about why it has been asking for the change in shareholding for the sake of carry forward of the losses. We all know that beyond a threshold limit, if you carry forward the losses and there is a change in the shareholding, carry forward of the loss will not be allowed. So in case of a company where we are required to report whether there is a change in shareholding or not, we cannot write not applicable. We have to write either yes or no. For all other assessees, definitely you can write not applicable because there is no such shareholding concept over there. But for companies, it is necessary you have to clearly write yes or no. You go back and see your multiple audit reports which you have filed where you have put in this information incorrectly, and ensure that in future you should take care of these mistakes and ensure it should not repeat in future. Clause 35A, details of stock. So what were the common irregularities which were noticed? So details to be reported under this clause if trading is one of the nature of the business. If it is reported as the business activity in clause 10. However, the same has not been done in some reports. See, quantitative detail is important. Detail of the stock, even if there is no closing stock, at the end of the period, as in on 31st March, even then you need to put in the detail of all the stock, what is there as a opening, purchased during the year, then sold, and finally the closing. Even if closing is zero, you cannot write quantitative detail as zero. You need to put in all the information, you need to put in all the details with respect to the opening stock, purchases, and sales. In case if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I understand that I was simply talking, and there are a lot of things which needs discussion. And I'm sure you must be having multiple queries in your mind while I was talking for the multiple clauses. Now it is open for all. Whatever you want to discuss, please feel free.
Ma'am, there is one question from CA Rohit Poddar from Kolkata. Can a tax audit be done on the basis of provisional balance sheet or management certified balance sheet?
So in case if it is a company and you are just doing a provisional based on that because the statutory audit is not complete, in that case, you can put it as a disclaimer that the statutory audit has not been conducted. And then you are doing the tax audit based on, since it's a statutory requirement to file the tax audit report within time, you can do that. However, for all other assessees, of course, you need to audit it yourself. If it is not a statutory requirement and there is a separate, if there is no separate statutory auditor for the respective organization.
As of now, we have only one question, ma'am.
Okay. So what we have discussed on the 3CD and 3CA, I'm sure it will help you in improving if you go back and check your own tax audit reports, wherein what exactly is the information which you are filing. Because in practical life, I'm telling you, in general, not many of us put information in 3CA and 3CB. We simply keep it blank and put the information in 3CD because we understand that the clauses of 3CD are more important. We need to put in the information because that is where it is linked with your ITR, with your deduction, etc. But it is not directly linked with your, that information, more figures, more information over there. We focus more on it instead of our responsibility as a tax auditor. So as a tax auditor, we cannot escape our responsibility. The role of the auditor won't change, even if we are conducting a tax audit. It is as good as having a statutory audit. ICAI does not distinguish audit under tax under the tax laws or any other law differently when it comes to the standards of auditing. So as an auditor, we are required to comply with all the standards, be it the engagement letter. Yes, one query I received earlier during one of my session. They asked me, are we required to have the engagement letter from the assessee if it is a continuing tax auditor? So I'm doing tax audit for one of my clients. There is no need for rotation because it's a partnership or maybe a proprietorship doing a very good business, exceeding all the thresholds, say having 30 or 40 crores of turnover. So am I required to sign the engagement letter every year or not? Sir, any thought on it? Let me answer this. So for tax, or in case of tax audit specifically, we need to have a separate engagement letter for every year and ensure that we are signing the management representation letter every year of course, by the time we complete our tax audit. Because in for certain clauses, we are taking management representation, we are taking their representation and considering it while signing it. As I mentioned, for the clauses, for the two clauses which talk about section 40A3 and 269SS and 269T, we are relying on the management representation. So ensure that as a good governance practice, you should also take a representation letter from the management, even for the tax audits you are conducting. And for engagement letter, you need to have a separate engagement letter for every year. Those who are not under peer review for now, they might come under peer review soon, because all the phases will get over by 2025, where all those who are conducting audits, uh, including the bank audit and or of course the large audits, and based on the firm having a strength up to 3 partners and above, they will be mandatorily asked to go for the peer review. While you will do the peer review, all these questions, all these things will be checked over there, whether you have taken the engagement letter, whether you have get your MRL signed, and whether you have disclosed the responsibilities and following all the standards of auditing or not. Whether you are maintaining the documentation, following the KYC clauses for the tax, as it all applies even if you are just doing the tax audit for a proprietorship concern as well. So be careful, start working on it from today, improve the quality. It will definitely save you as an auditor in future, wherever any such challenge will arise. So thank you so much, everyone, for giving your valuable time.
Thank you, ma'am. There are few questions unanswered.
Yes,
Let's
yes,
see that.
please
Yeah.
ask.
CA Bharti Agrawal from Mumbai, she asked how to deal with MSME interest.
MSME interest, yes. See, the law does not give any, exemption that interest will not be charged. So if there is a delay in payment to a MSME, whether the interest has been charged from the client or not, and the payment is still pending, you need to report it separately. There is a separate clause under the 3CD wherein you are required to report the same and ensure that the client is making provision for the same. Now the people are more active. MSME is gaining, a lot of
More
popularity with Section 43 VH, which, as we all know, that everyone is aware and they all know that if nobody, so in case if the payment is not received, they can always file a complaint on the portal, and it is given to, as in you need to send a communication and they have to pay the money within 45 days. So all these things are there and people are active. They are doing it themselves and getting their money recovered. So ensure wherever the interest is being paid or not paid, however, but eligible, ensure that you are getting it approved.
Next question is that if an entity is into trading and is dealing with many items, how can this be handled as data limitation is there?
Yes, you can put it as an annexure. If in case data is too much, but you need to put it as a line item wise. Or maybe if it is the case, you can put it as the category wise.
Okay. One more question is that very interesting question. Any updates in the tax audit for FY 23-20?
yes, there are some minimal updates which has been notified so far to incorporate the changes of 43BH that needs to be reported. And so far, that is the only minimum change which we have. But yes, it is quite crucial.
Okay. And one more interesting question from Naushad Ahmad Sheikh from Ahmedabad. In the case of trust registered under Section 12 and running a medical store which is having turnover above rupees 2 crore, then is it required to get 3CD report?
So in case of a trust, what we really need to see is that if it is having a business, then 3CD is required. In case if it is only on a charitable basis, then 3CD is not required. 10B or BB based on the turnover, you need to file it accordingly.
Thank you, ma'am. And last question of the session. How helpful is tax representation letter or adverse opinions?
Yes, it is undoubtedly important to take MRL to safeguard yourself because you are signing the tax audit report. It is your responsibility which you are deriving. When it comes to the adverse report or you are making some observation, you should have a basis for that. You cannot just write anything that I don't want to put it like this. Okay, I don't like this client anymore. I need to qualify this report, right? Or maybe he's not paying me my money, or for anything else. We really can't do that. For every conclusion which we are deriving, ensure that we are following the procedures as laid down in a standards of auditing, which is duly over, as in if you look at it, proper details are over there. You have to have a proper evidence of the non-compliance, or you should have the proper backing while you are writing any observation.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such a wonderful discussion. Though the tax audit fair is yet to start, but this knowledge is certainly very helpful to amongst all the members. There are more than 900 members who have participated today. And thank you very much to everyone who have engaged for more than 2 hours. Thank you, everyone. With this, I declare that the session is over.
Thank you so much, everyone. Glad to see that a lot of people are really enthusiastic to learn about tax audit much in advance. And I feel this is the right time to educate ourselves. And we have, time to upgrade ourselves for tax audit. Because at a later stage, while we will be conducting the tax audit, we are not having that much time to incorporate. So while you are having this much time, ensure that you make these templates for your organization, for all the, as in ensure that you have one complete detail of assessee responsibility, tax auditor responsibility, and create a checklist. So if you know that ICI has issued a checklist for the tax audit, if you download, check, and educate your team to work accordingly, I'm sure it will help you in improving the quality of tax audit to the next level. Thank
Thank
you
you, ma'am.
so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.